Tick tock, tick tock. 2021 is coming to an end. Is it a relief or are you sad to see the back of this year? Has it been good to you? Has it not? Let me know in the comments. Hello everyone, Anna English here from English Like a Native, and we are seeing out the end of 2021 and welcoming in a new year, 2022, which I hope is going to be a good year for all of us globally, a time to heal, a time to come together, a time to find a new normal, because it's been such a transition really, hasn't it? COVID, all the conflicts that have been going on, all the politics. It's been quite a rough ride. So hopefully things will get better in 2022 and we'll have lots more positive news. So today I'm running an English masterclass. You're going to be spending some time with me learning new vocabulary aimed at upper intermediate level, around B2. And we're going to look at an article with the help of Sensations English, who have always been very generous in letting me use their resources to teach. And then we're going to talk about goal setting, because in 2022, I'm sure many of you will start your New Year's resolutions, but will you be able to keep them? Having the ability to set powerful goals and keep to them, achieve those goals, is a really useful skill to have. But you can't just set a goal and expect it to work. There's a certain process that you have to go through, and I'm going to help you with that at the end of this lesson. Okay, so if you're new here, make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel and make sure that you turn on notifications. If you enjoy this session, then please do give it a thumbs up. And if you are one of my course students or one of my community members, then don't forget the notes are available for you to download from the community live lesson space. But without further ado, let's learn some new vocabulary. So the first word we're going to learn is the word persist. To persist in something is to continue in a course of action despite the difficulties. I might use this actually when someone, like my son, for example, is asking for a snack. And I say, no, you're not having a snack. And then he goes to the cupboard and he gets out a snack and he holds it at me. Mum. I say, no, you're not having a snack. I take it off him. I put it down, maybe up on the side. And he goes away and he climbs and he tries to reach it and he grabs it and brings it back to me. Mum. And then starts crying when I take it off him. He is being persistent. He is persistent. He is continuing to try to achieve his goal of getting a snack, even though I'm making it difficult and saying no. So he is persisting. To persist, to continue along a line of action, a course of action, even though it's difficult. Next, we have to herald. If something is heralded, then it's a sign that something is about to happen. You don't see this word very often, but you will read it in the news, in any kind of articles. You'll see it probably quite frequently. I don't hear it in general conversation, but it's one to be aware of if you're reading the papers. Do people read papers anymore? Online articles is probably more likely. Okay, next is the word courage. To have courage means to be brave, to do something that scares you. So courage is just bravery. I have a lot of courage when it comes to my children. For example, if I see a huge spider, I don't like spiders, but if I see a huge spider, I will show courage. I will have courage in front of them. I will remain calm. I will get a glass, put it on top of the spider and escort it out of the window or out of the door. Say, bye-bye, spider. Inside, I'm going, ah! But I don't show that to my children. I show that I have courage. Or, for example, I'm frightened of lifts being in enclosed spaces. I'm claustrophobic and I get anxiety. So I will always avoid a lift. But if I'm with my children, we have a pram and I can't take the stairs, I will have courage. I will be brave. I have courage and I go into the lift and remain calm, even though my heart is probably beating a lot faster than normal. So, when was the last time you were courageous? When did you last show or have courage? Next is the word turmoil. Turmoil. Now, turmoil is basically uncertainty, confusion, disturbance. It's if you're in turmoil about something, then you're very confused about something, like you're in a negative way. So it might be that I perhaps have been offered an incredible opportunity, maybe a job that requires me to travel abroad for 3 weeks at a time and then come home for a week and go abroad for 3 weeks and come home. It's an incredible opportunity to progress my career. It's good money to help me to pay for my life, for my children, but it takes me away from my family. It takes me away from my home and my commitments. So I might be then in turmoil, confused, uncertain. I can't sleep at night. I can't stop thinking about this. What do I give up? I don't know. I'm in turmoil. To be in turmoil. Okay. Have you ever been in turmoil about something? Share in the comments, please. Next is the word sort. Sort. Sort is the past or the past participle of the verb to seek, which means to actively look for something, to search for something. We have a game when you're children here, which is hide and seek. Let's play hide and seek. You count to 10. Okay, I'm going to hide. You can't find me. And then you seek. You come and you look for me. So it's actively looking for something. So if something has been sought, then that's the past tense. Or if you have sought something, you could use it as past participle. Okay, so there's also you can use the adjective that something is sought after. Sought after. If something is greatly sought after, then it's very popular and lots of people are looking for it. Yeah. You could say this book is very sought after. It's a sought after book, meaning it's something that lots of people are trying to get. Perhaps it's a first edition signed by the author who no longer is alive. So it's a hugely sought after version of this particular book. Okay. Next, we have the words gender discrimination. You're probably familiar with this. It's in the news a lot. Gender discrimination is to discriminate or to treat someone less well or unfairly, in this case, based on their sex, on their gender, whether they're man or woman, or whether they're non-binary. So to discriminate against someone based on their sex. Okay, gender discrimination. Next, we have the word convention. Convention. And a convention is a way in which something is usually done. That's the convention, or the conventional way of doing something. Like a tradition, kind of. Okay, let's move on. Next is the word budget. Now, in this case, I'm talking about budget as an adjective. You might hear about budget airlines or a budget holiday. When this is used as an adjective, it means it's a cheaper version of that thing. So a budget airline is a cheap airline where you can buy cheap flights. Ryanair, I think, is a budget airline. A budget holiday might be a holiday that's a package in a local hotel that is like £200 for a week's holiday, and you get your breakfast included, which is super cheap. Okay. Have you ever been on a budget holiday? I did when I was younger. I haven't been on holiday for a long time now, though. Not abroad, anyway. Okay, next we have the phrasal verb to swap out. Swap out. If you swap something out, then you're basically just changing it for something else. So just think about swapping out. You're swapping, you're taking something out and putting something in. So you swap out. Okay, so to exchange or change something. Next is the word restrictive. Restrictive just means it's limited, or if we're talking about restrictive clothing, we're talking about like uncomfortably tight clothing that maybe restricts your movements. Gentlemen, if you've worn a suit, maybe your suit jacket is a little restrictive. Maybe you can't lift your arms up in case you end up tearing the stitching under your arms of your suit. Or ladies, if you've worn a pencil skirt, so a very tight skirt that brings your legs close together, that goes down to your knees like a pencil, then that can be very restrictive. You certainly aren't really able to kind of crawl around on the floor after your children, or if you're going to clean, you wouldn't wear a pencil skirt. It's too restrictive. Okay. So restrictive clothing. I hate wearing restrictive clothing, especially as a mum. By the way, all of these words I'm teaching you are going to be in the article that we'll look at together. That's why they're all random. In case you're wondering, what's the point of all this vocabulary, Anna? You'll find out. It will all become clear. So next we have the suffix wide. So when you hear wide after a noun like company-wide, countrywide, nationwide, worldwide, then we just mean across that entire space. So if it's worldwide, we mean across the world. If it's countrywide, we mean everything across the country, depending on the sentence, what we're actually talking about. Next, we have ideals. We all have ideals, and ideals is a standard or a principle that we aim at, almost like an idea that we aim at. Now, if something is ideal, wow, that's ideal, we mean it's perfect. So I might say, oh, you're a student of English, you're learning English, and you want to come and do an online course, and you want to improve your pronunciation, you need some business English, and you want to up your level to more advanced. You're my ideal student, because that's exactly what I offer. You are ideal. My course is ideal for you. Okay, or I might say, I need something to light my way through the garden at night so I can see what I'm doing. This torch is ideal. Amazing. Well, fantastic. That's an ideal tool for the job. It's perfect. But you have ideals, which means ideas of how you think something should be, what you aim to achieve. Like my ideal house would be nice and tidy and warm and functional. We're not quite there yet, but I'm working on it. Okay, arena. Now, normally when you talk about an arena, you're thinking about like a big place where people come together and watch something. Like in the arena. Sporting activities would happen often in an arena where everyone's sitting around the arena and they watch the sporting activity happen in the middle, like a stadium is a kind of arena. But metaphorically, we use the word arena a lot to talk about the scene of activity or debate or conflict. So if there's a debate about gender discrimination, and that's happening in lots of different places, that's happening within the arena of gender discrimination, within the arena. Okay, is within the space of this debate. Okay. Again, not one that I would use conversationally, but you'll see it written or hear it within the news a lot. Okay, the next is a phrase that I thought you should be familiar with, and it's to bring something to the fore. To bring something to the fore. Now, fore here is almost short for foreground. The foreground is the front. So it means front, the fore. If you bring something to the fore, to the foreground, to the front, you're making it more visible. You're making it more prominent and more important so people can see it. Okay. Next, if you happen upon something, to happen upon something means to accidentally discover it. Oh, I was cleaning up today and I happened upon this old coaster. Old coaster, yes, from 2016. It has Anna written on it. A coaster is what you put a mug on to protect the surface of your table or desk. And I happened upon this actually while I was cleaning today. Yes, it means that you discover something by accident. It's usually a positive thing to happen upon something. Oh, I happened upon this. How exciting. Next, we have facelift. Now, you hear about facelift often when talking about plastic surgery. A facelift is when you take a saggy face and lift it to make it look younger. I haven't had a facelift, honestly. I always look this surprised. But we can say that a place has had a facelift. So if my studio was a little bit old and tired, maybe the paint was a bit dirty, it's been scuffed, and perhaps it just looks dated. If I decorate it and make it look nice, then it's had a facelift. So it's to make some significant changes to the decor to refresh it and make it look fresh once again. A facelift. It's had a facelift. Next, we have the word mural. Mural. Now, a mural is simply a painting or some form of art that's being put directly onto the wall. So I always think about my grandma when I use the word mural. My grandma was a very talented lady. She was a language teacher. She taught Japanese and German predominantly, and a couple of other languages besides. She was also a dog trainer and an artist. She went to art school and was an incredible artist. And on the back of her garden, she had a 3-story house with no window. So it was just this huge brick wall at the back of her garden. And it's, quite ugly to just have a huge brick wall, 3 stories high at the back. And so she painted this huge mural of a Japanese garden. And it was just stunning. It looked so real, lifelike. It was a real like treasure for that garden. It was hugely beneficial to making that garden beautiful. And yes, a mural. Okay, next is the word heritage. Heritage just refers to things that have been passed down, traditions, items that belong to the history of a person or place. So the heritage of a castle might be, the history of it, who built it, why it was built, its form and function, everything within that, the traditions around that castle, subsequently what it was used for. That's its heritage. That's its history, which is important. Obviously, our history, where we come from, is part of our identity. It's what makes us us. It's our story. That's our heritage. Yeah, think of heritage like story. That's a nice way of thinking of it. Indigenous. Now, in this article, it talks a lot about indigenous peoples. Indigenous just means native, so originally belonging to that place. Next, we have the word prominent. I used this earlier, didn't I? Where did I use it? Something is prominent. Oh, where was it? There, here we go. Yeah, to bring something to the fore, to make it more prominent. Now, prominent can mean just important. It's quite prominent. Or you could use it to mean something is protruding, projecting forwards. meaning you can see it more because it's pushed forward. For example, some people used to say about me that I have quite a prominent nose. I've got quite a strong nose. It's not a little button nose. I don't have a little ski slope nose. I've got quite a prominent, what people call a Roman nose. My nose is very prominent, very large, strong. It used to bother me when I was younger, and people would say, "You've got a prominent nose," or a very big nose, or whatever. I don't care anymore. But yes, I do have a prominent nose. It's protruding quite a lot from my face. It sticks out a lot, as noses are supposed to do. It's quite forwards. You can see it more. It's more visible. So I have a prominent nose. Okay, next. Oh, dear me. Next, we have the word soar. This is a verb, to soar. To soar means to fly. So you might say, he soared through the air. But it can also be used when talking about figures, values. Our profits soared. Netflix profits soared. Their viewership soared during lockdown. Okay. So when something goes up really fast and really high, it soars. Similar to spike, but a spike is literally a sharp increase in something. So if you're looking at, I often think of graphs, like a line graph, and it's like do 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 pow. If you're looking at coronavirus numbers, case numbers, they'll talk about the spikes in coronavirus. So it's a sharp increase. There's a spike in cases. But luckily, the hospitalizations are stable, but there's a spike in cases which could follow with a spike in hospitalizations. Next, we have the word veterinary. Veterinary. In case you're unfamiliar, veterinary is like the word vet. It relates to diseases, injuries, and treatment of farm or domestic animals. So a vet is a person who is basically an animal doctor. So anything that's veterinary is relating to treating animals who are injured or sick. Next, the verb to merge. Merge. To merge is to combine or join a number of things. It becomes one thing. Companies might merge. So sometimes two companies will join together to make one big, strong company. And that's called a merger. A merger. When companies merge. Next, we have the phrase to make strides. Now, to stride, your stride is like your steps. So if you have a long stride, it means you take a long step. There's a big distance between one foot and the other. That's the length of your steps. It's your stride. You might take something in your stride. That's a phrase we use to mean to be relaxed about something, that you're not upset about new things. For example, Anna received some really bad news about YouTube cutting all their advertising. So Anna can no longer make a living on YouTube. But she takes that in her stride. She's not upset about it. She's not worried about it. She's just going to quit YouTube and get another job. She takes it in her stride. It doesn't bother me. That's not true, by the way. I'm not going to quit YouTube. Don't you worry. So to make strides is used when you're talking about people making progress, advancing, moving forwards. So if a company makes big strides towards quashing, that's like squashing, but quashing gender discrimination in the workplace, then it would mean that company is making progress. They are making strides towards the goal of completely eliminating gender discrimination. Okay. Have you made strides towards any goals recently? Or at any point in your life that you can talk about that were significant? Did you make any significant strides towards a goal? Okay, that brings me to our article. Thank you very much, sensationsenglish.com, for providing this article. I'm going to read it to everyone, and you'll see that I've highlighted the words that we've covered in our little vocabulary session. So hopefully it will be a lot clearer. Now it's quite a long article, this one actually, compared to normal. But if you have any questions, then do ask in the chat box. If you're enjoying this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you know anyone else who would benefit from this, then please do share. Let's get to that article then. Here we go. Review of 2021. Despite the persisting COVID-19 crisis, 2021 heralded positive changes in society, art, and culture. See if I can make this even bigger for you. There, does that work? Hopefully. So to persist, remember, is to try really hard, to keep going despite things being against you. So COVID-19 has persisted despite the vaccine, despite social distancing. It's still here. It's persisted. Heralded means the sign of something to come, the sign of something happening. So 2021 has shown positive changes in society, art, and culture. So it's the sign of something's going to happen. Something's going to change in these areas, positive things. Women made moves towards equality in music, language, and the workplace. The Grammys, which is an award ceremony, the Grammys saw Beyoncé's song, I Can't Breathe, which had brought courage, bravery, to a nation in turmoil, confusion, uncertainty, recognized as Song of the Year. So this song was recognized as Song of the Year, and Taylor Swift's work was rewarded with her third Album of the Year Grammy, becoming the first woman to do so. In Czechia, women have sought, they've been trying to achieve something, to reduce gender discrimination, demanding the rights to adopt the masculine form of surnames in Czech. Then from linguistics, linguistics means anything to do with language. From linguistic conventions, remember a convention is the way something's always been done, to workwear, what you wear to work. Ukrainian budget airline, SkyUp, has swapped out its restrictive, it's so tight, restrictive woman's cabin crew uniform. Cabin crew is the term used to refer to people who serve you when you're on a flight. So they serve you with, your drinks and your snacks and your meals. They help you if you need help. They do the security briefing thing at the beginning. Do you do that bit? That's cabin crew. They are cabin crew. Acting on the results of a company-wide survey of employees, so across the company they did a survey, the new uniforms provide staff with more comfortable outfits. Meanwhile, in Japan, married women have shown that they can be a force in the business world. So they can be powerful in the business world. Through the womanomics movement, they are shifting ideals in this traditionally male-dominated arena. So the arena, which is the workplace in Japan, and their ideals, what is deemed to be the perfect situation, is changing to include more women in the workplace. This has resulted in 80% more women entering the workforce. Now, from historic progress to historic discoveries, 2021 brought art and culture to the fore. So it brought art and culture to the fore. It made it more prominent, more important. We viewed it more. After happening upon, by chance discovering, Islamic decoration behind a wall during a business facelift, bar owners in Seville, Spain, received an unexpected surprise. Their building had begun life in the 12th century as an Islamic bathhouse. On the other side of the world, in 45,000 a 45,500-year-old mural of a wild pig discovered in a cave in Indonesia has become the world's oldest known painting. Wow. The Benin bronze cockerel, okoko, which had been presented to the University of Cambridge, was returned to Nigeria out of respect for spiritual and ancestral heritage, what belongs to the history of Nigeria. And while one statue was returned, others were being replaced in efforts to recognize indigenous people, so natives. Mexico City has relocated a prominent statue of Columbus, so a prominent being quite a protruding or an important statue, to make way for a figure of an indigenous Olmec woman. Meanwhile, across Latin America and some US states, Columbus Day has been renamed in honor of indigenous peoples and cultures. Can you see that? Yeah. Our everyday habits have been shaped by the ongoing pandemic. To be shaped is to be molded, to be changed. TV and video viewership soared. It went really high, really fast during lockdown, with Netflix, YouTube, and TikTok making the biggest gains globally. In addition to consuming more entertainment on TV and the internet, we're making extra online purchases to take up new hobbies. But while the pandemic purchases spiked in the UK, this has been followed by widespread buyer's regret. Did you buy anything during the pandemic that you regret buying? Let me know. Okay, the pandemic has also put zoo animals at risk, with some species suffering COVID-19 infections transmitted by asymptomatic zookeepers. If you're asymptomatic, it means you show no symptoms. However, the Zoetis coronavirus vaccine has been developed specifically for veterinary use, so for the animals. Thanks to this, these animals can now be protected. Yay! As COVID-19 began to merge into our day-to-day realities, not only have we adapted to this new normal, but also continued making great strides to see the world become a better place for all. Okay? And so to merge is to combine. So obviously COVID-19 has just become part of our day-to-day life. And to make strides is to make progress, to advance, to become better at something. Okay. Hopefully that was relatively easy and straightforward. I can't believe how much has happened in a year, to be honest, when you look back at all the news that's gone on around the world. Some good, some not so good. But hopefully 2021 had some positives for you. I'd like you to take a moment now to try and think of a positive that you can take from 2021. I'd like you to share it with us all in the comment section. For me, 2021 has been positive on a work front. We've, launched our business. We have launched 5 courses this year. And, that's very exciting. It's been a lot of hard work, but seeing how much my students are gaining from the experience and learning with them as well has been a really exciting time of growth and development. And on a personal level, watching my son go from being a 2-month-old to being a 1-year-old has been an incredible shift. Anyone who's got babies will know the difference between a teeny tiny baby and then a walking little personality. He doesn't speak yet, but he's got a very strong personality, and he's a lot of fun, little Caspian. And as well, my older son, who's gone from being a 2-year-old who didn't talk at the beginning of the year other than a few words, to now being a very articulate young man, a 3-year-old who's also very demanding, but lots of fun. So a lot of growth for us. How about you? Please share. Okay, so looking ahead, we've looked back, but now looking ahead at 2022, hopefully this will be the year that we really get on top of this pandemic and put all of this nonsense, not nonsense, but all of this nightmare behind us. And we can start having a bit more freedom. Obviously, probably sticking with the things that we've learned, being more careful, continuous testing, and just being, what's the word? Being more considerate, definitely more considerate of the people around us. But with that, hopefully it will give us more freedom, and I'd love to go on holiday, actually. Take my kids away, that'd be lovely. But what are you hoping to achieve next year beyond the pandemic? What is 2022 going to do for you? Now, did you know that most people who set New Year's resolutions within 6 months have failed in those goals, failed to achieve those goals that they'd set for themselves? There's a reason for that. And usually it's because New Year's resolutions are set very quickly without much planning. And you can't set goals that way. If you want them to be successful, you can't just say, oh, I want to do this, so let's do it. You can't set goals that way. You need to have a structured plan, and you need to be very specific about your goals. Let me open up my notes for you. So, are you planning to set a New Year's resolution? Studies show that over 80% of people setting New Year's resolutions fail within 6 months. In order to create goals that will be powerful and successful, you need to set SMART goals. Now, by SMART, I mean specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's start with specific. So it's important that you have a very clear, specific goal in mind. So you might say in 2022, I want to eat healthy. But what does that mean? What does eat healthy actually mean? I want to eat more healthily. Well, does that mean cutting things out? Does that mean changing your diet entirely? Does that mean adding in more vegetables, more fruit? So you have to be very specific about what your goal actually entails. If I want to have a healthy diet in 2022, then I know that I need to cut out my nighttime snacking. So for example, I've been snacking on chocolates today while I've been prepping this lesson. And this is something I do a lot. I tend to have snacks around my desk. I need to cut that out. So I'm very specific. I need to stop the unhealthy snacking. I should probably stop snacking altogether. So that's something I could do. Perhaps I'll introduce intermittent fasting so that I kind of actually cut down the window in which I eat so that I'm not tempted to snack all the time. I know I need to eat more greens, so I need to introduce more green vegetables into my weekly shop and make sure I cook recipes that include those vegetables. I might want to cut out meat and have a vegetarian diet. So you have to be very specific with what you want. So next, you have to have measurable goals. So it's pointless saying, I want to have a healthy diet or I want to learn a language if you can't measure it. So by measuring, you need quantities, you need times. So you might say, okay, every week I want to eat at least 3 meals that involve 3 portions of vegetables. And I want to make sure that I don't eat between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. So for 11 hours of every day, I don't want to eat anything. These are measurable. And then you can, if you're going on a healthy diet because you want to lose weight or you want to lose like size, then you can actually physically measure the results. So in a month's time, you can measure yourself and say, look, I've lost half an inch from my waist. Look, my weight has dropped by a couple of pounds. That's exciting. And by having something you can measure, it's going to help to keep you motivated because you see the results that you can celebrate. So it has to be measurable. So if you're talking about learning a language, it might be that you say to yourself, by the end of this year, I want to be able to pass a certain exam, or I want to have worked through an entire textbook, or I want to be able to have a relaxed conversation with a native about a particular subject. And so then you need to be able to make a plan and measure what you're learning and when you're learning it and at what point you should know it off by heart. Okay, so measurable. Attainable. This is also really important. Many people set goals that are not attainable, goals that are just in 2022, I want to start a YouTube channel and get 1 million followers, and I want to replace all my income with that one YouTube channel. That's not attainable. I can tell you that for sure. I've been working on YouTube for nearly a decade, and I know it's not attainable. Not easily. Some people can do it, but yeah, not most. It has to be a realistic goal. You can't just say, I want to be fluent in 3 months. It's not realistic. You have to set realistic goals that you can see yourself achieving. Otherwise, you'll lose motivation very quickly. So you have to feel like you can achieve what you're setting. Relevant. So when you're breaking down your goals, when you've got one goal and you're breaking it down, you have to make sure that every element of it is relevant to what you actually want to achieve in life or your career. Why is this goal important to you? And that's actually vital. Understanding the goal you're setting and what that is going to give you is so important because that's all about your motivation. I personally want to lose weight and get fit because currently I'm dealing with a lot of pain in my knees, pain in my back, pain in my neck, pain in my ankles, joint inflammation, general fatigue, not being able to participate in the sports that I love. So for me, getting fit, it's easy for me to keep motivated because I understand my goal has a purpose. It's relevant. If I just wanted to lose weight because that's what everyone does, but it doesn't really have an impact on my life, then it's not relevant. If it's a career development goal and I want to increase, say I want to do more on social media. I want to improve the traffic to my website. So I'm going to try and drive traffic through my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. But actually, the end goal is to make my business more successful. So is increasing my following on Facebook that relevant? Maybe not. How many of my Facebook followers actually end up going to my website and becoming students on my courses? Probably not many. So is it that relevant for me to increase the people who follow me on Facebook? Is my YouTube channel relevant to my business? You have to make sure that what you're working towards is relevant. Because if it's not, you could be spending a lot of time and energy working on something that doesn't actually progress to the big picture, to the big goal. Okay. And then finally, time bound. You need to set deadlines. If you don't have deadlines to measure, then how can you measure? How can you celebrate achievement if you don't know when you're going to measure and say, okay, now have I achieved my goal? So for example, if you're learning language and you're trying to improve your conversation skills to be able to have a relaxed conversation about travel next time you go on holiday, your deadline will be, the summer 2022 when you travel to the UK for a holiday. That's your deadline. And that's when it all comes together and you've got something to work towards. If it's just a general, like, I just want to be, I'm trying to learn Italian, I just want to be better at Italian. Not having a deadline means that you're not going to work hard because you're not working towards a time. You'll be like, oh, I'll do it next week. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too busy now. You have to give yourself times to work towards. Oh, it's gone very dark in here. It's a good job I've got this light here. Okay, so let's just wrap this up now. You set your SMART goals. And then you make a plan based on that goal. Write out how you're going to achieve it step by step. That's really important. Break down your goal. You know, it might be by doing a certain amount of work each day. If it's about language, it might be taking classes, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, making notes, revising those notes. Physically writing out these steps will help you to visualize the journey. And I'd also say that writing stuff out is good because as you cross each step off, you feel a sense of achievement, which will help to motivate you. So do physically make a list, stick it up on the board somewhere visible. I might put something on here where I can see it regularly and say, oh, yes, I'll tick that off for today. Or you might have it on your phone, on your screensaver to remind you. Next, you need to make a habit in order to achieve your goal. It's very easy to be motivated at the beginning, but after a week or so, we can start to get bored. You must make it a new habit. We all have habits, things that we do every day, things that aren't even that interesting, but we do it because it's a habit. Cooking, cleaning, personal hygiene, these things are habits. You get used to doing it. So make achieving your goal part of your habitual behavior. Make it a habit. You have to push through on the days when you can't be bothered. You have to ignore that little voice in your head that says, oh, don't worry, just leave it for today. You can pick up and do it again tomorrow, because you won't. Ignore that voice. Push through, make the effort when you first hit that wall, and then you're going to start to create a habit. That wall is the door to habitual behavior. So work towards your goal step by step, and you're creating a habit which is essential for long-term goal success. So what are you going to achieve in 2021? What's your goal? Use the things that I've taught you, the SMART goals. Set it out step by step how you're going to get there, and then put the work in. Make sure you're clear on your motivations and put the work in. And in the long run, you'll be grateful. It's so much better to do something right the first time round than kind of have a stab, have a go, not do it properly, because you'll have to do it over and over and over again if you do it that way. So do it properly. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for all your support this year, and to all my students, thank you so much for your hard work. I've really enjoyed building the community with you, developing the courses with your feedback, your input. I really appreciate it. I think English Like a Native next year is going to get even bigger and even better. We've got lots of things planned. I'm very excited. More courses coming as well. If you're not a student, you're not a member of our courses or our community, then now is the time to come and check it out. And there'll be some offers on the way very soon as well. So come and check it out. The banner below is showing you where to go, www.englishlikeanative.co.uk. Thanks again to sensationsenglish.com for letting us use their article. And guys, I wish you all a very happy new year. Take care. Lots of love from London, UK. And let's hope 2022 is an incredible year for all of us. Mwah.